always been in marketing in some level. I started working in television at NBC about 10 years ago, and then pivoted into the nonprofit space, working with nonprofit and governmental organizations, then marketing technology, and finally now legal technology. The thing that has been the same in all of my roles, whether it's called content marketing or communications or PR, is there's a target market. I seek to understand who they are, what they care about, what moves them, what motivates them, then create content, messaging, campaigns that meet them where they're at. So yeah, that's sort of been my journey and how I've landed where I am today. Scaled or been charged with scaling content marketing at multiple organizations, both internally and using an external agency. And so I've had some success and some failures at both of those. I think the main thing is when you're answering a question or providing a solution to a problem that is very closely linked with your product, then sometimes internal is the best approach. Like you have that seamless connection between the product and the education. However, I think it's really important in content marketing to create a lot of content that is not about your product. You want to build trust and educate people who are coming to you. And so for that, outsourcing is a very smart way to scale. These people who are external, they only need to have a basic knowledge of your product because they're not selling your product. They're genuinely, helpfully answering a question. So at a very high level, that is my strategy. Is if something is, not generic, but if it is agnostic enough from the product, it's worth considering external because you can scale a lot faster and you don't have to build a bunch of expertise internally. However, there are going to be those very sensitive things or those subject areas that you want to own as a brand, and you really want to have your own personality and voice. And for that, I keep those internal. Yeah, this is something I think about all the time. Sometimes when you're a content marketer, people think, you're just the guy who's posting to the blog. And like, why do we even have a blog as a company? I think that's a great question. People, it's why do we have that? And of course, I have a very valid answer. But yeah, I think when it comes to getting budget or growing or scaling, it's about proving the return on the investment. So of course, in an ideal world, that's like number of leads generated, accounts closed, revenue generated from this content. However, like you've said, content marketing, especially if it's search motivated, can be a really long-term game. It can be hard to even prove that, right? Because they might have read your blog and then 2 months later, they go and they book a demo and that's not tracked. So, when you're proving return on investment, especially in something like content marketing, it's okay if it's not always about numbers, if it's anecdotal. If you can say, this white paper, this one account that's really important at our company, they said, we have this quote from him that this white paper was good. It's like internal marketing. So that can connect the dots while we're kind of waiting for the data to get there. The ultimate thing that I'm looking for is what impact did it have on the company's revenue? If you can tie yourself to revenue, you're going to get more investment, no matter if you're a content marketer or sales or whatever. And so that can be tough to do. One way to do it early on is put a tag, like a UTM tag, on your piece of content every single time you share it. Like if they come in from search, if it's clicked on an email, if it's clicked from social, then that tag is associated with their account forever. And then one day you're going to be able to put that tag on a closed deal. And that is probably like a fast bootleg, quick and dirty way to prove a little bit of ROI. In measuring like how valuable or successful content is early on, I'm looking at bounce rate, of course, time on page, and if number of pages per visit. So I want people to come find an article of mine, think it's good and trustworthy enough that they want to read more. And so they click on something else, even if they're not ready to make a purchase or book a demo. So those are some of the early KPIs, like in terms of engagement. Then there's ROI. And then finally, this isn't really a KPI, but if you're in a conversation with senior leadership and you're trying to convince them to invest, FOMO is super effective. Show senior leadership what their competitors are doing, and then they'll want to do it. They don't want to be the only ones not doing content marketing. So when all else fails, show them, Google something in front of them and show their competitor ranking on page 1. That motivates them. I think it would look a lot like to start some combination of the SEO tools that content marketers use, like Conductor and SEMrush, combined with something like Google Analytics and integrated into a CMS like WordPress. So a central dashboard where I can come and see what content there's demand for, meaning, what people are searching, who they are, what they care about, how the content I've already created is performing, and then how I can optimize existing content all in one place. So we see these basic recommendations: change your title tag or add this keyword into your H2. I would love to just say, okay, and then it happens. Algorithm chasing. There's a lot of people trying to understand what Google wants from them and then just do it. And they get into this feedback loop that when you're chasing what Google wants, you're actually doing what those AI copywriters do, but you're doing a worse job of it because AI is going to talk to other AI a lot better than a human can. So all of that's important, right? Like it's important to know search best practices. It's important to structure your content, but all of that is secondary to genuinely useful, helpful information. I've seen over and over, sometimes I'll write a piece of content and I'm just trying to answer a question that there's no search volume for at all. And then it will rank on page 1 if it's genuinely helpful. So I think that's the main kind of tip or mistake, is like, be aware of SEO best practices, but like relax on it. Don't chase the algorithm. Just try to make something that is genuinely helpful to a human being. Google is not your primary audience. The people using Google are your audience.